Okay, so our next speaker is Mr. Ajit Nayak. Mr. Ajit Nayak is a Senior Vice President at HCL Technologies. He has a strong experience in managing IT infrastructure projects, which require handling of a large team of specialists, project, and operation resources. His USP lies in facilitating the sales organization towards bagging repeat orders due to high levels of customer satisfaction. Let's please put our hands together for Mr. Ajit Nayak.
Good afternoon. I would thank JP. I think we had a simulating session actually, where I think we were talking about what's in App Store for us as citizens of this country, how the economy is going to go about, and I think he touched the raw nut when he talked about the IBC and mergers and demergers, I think. I know it sounds like a doomsday. It sounds like, where are we heading? The lesser we talk about the economy, the lesser we talk about the GDP, the better it is, because I think there's too much of bombardment as far as media is concerned, as far as numbers are concerned. And I think of lately there has been a lot of thanks to the University of WhatsApp. I think we all are so educated. More than educated, I think if we were to have a Nalanda University now, even that would have gone back actually, the amount of data which you get to read and see as such. Okay, so first of all, let me, I think this is not the presentation. Excuse me.
This is 7-1.
So I think the lesser we talk about it, the better it is. And as I was saying, yes, first of all, thank you very much, PMI Mumbai chapter, for having me here, giving me this opportunity to address this August gathering. The best part is I usually talk to the IT world, and then I talk to the people who are more connected to spiritualism as such. This first going by the IT world is because my profession. I've been into this for 30 years. And of course, in the last 20-25 years, I veered little bit onto the spiritualism also and the minimalism, which I'll talk about today as such. So when I was given an opportunity to address the conclave, I decided rather than sticking to IT, I think I'll stick to the later part of it, because that is what is most required today if you look at it as such. So thank you very much, PMI. Thank you, Rafael, for facilitating this. And before I start rolling with my presentation and my slide deck, I'm very glad that we have an armed force senior officer sitting amidst us as such. It's not very often you get to hear and such a senior Commodore level senior armed force gentleman sitting with us. It's basically, as he very rightly said, because I got an opportunity, because that's just, I walked in at that point of time. They are just taught to go and fight. They are just taught to defend. They are not taught to publicize, media, and it is all totally away from it. But I am glad that I think you all are taking initiative to, bring forth the information to the youngsters. I think every defense establishment today, you see a hoarding there. You get out of Delhi airport and you get the, Subrato Park, there you get a big hoarding. The Air Force calls you, the Navy calls you when you go to a naval base as such, So I'm glad that people are realizing, and I think just yesterday only I was talking to somebody, it's very sad that we are such a dynamic country with huge potential, but our youths don't go to armed force for at least 6 months of training, which most of the countries do send their youths. And that is one reason I think when we really get into, profession, we don't realize what it means to defend the country, what it means to be in a country which is so dynamic. And another bane of today's world, especially in our country, is we have got too much of freedom. We have got too much of freedom to do what we are supposed to do, and we have got too much of freedom many a times to do what we are not supposed to do actually. That is another problem which is facing all of us as such, but I'm only praying that over a period of time things will change. So, as I said, I'm not going to talk about IT, but yes, I'm going to talk about the chaotic situation thanks to the technological advancement which we are in today as such, So, I think since morning, we had fantastic speakers who took us through what technology is doing today, how are you bringing technology on a daily basis? But same time, I believe there are threats also. We heard about the cyber security threat, which is something much, much bigger than the warfare. I know they say that, this, especially the cyber security risk, which is we are facing off lately, is much, much bigger than the arsenal warfare, which we have seen maybe in the earlier years as such, So while we are going through this tumultuous time, we are trying to forget one very important aspect. As a human, we are supposed to do things very differently. As human, we have got so much of potential in us, and we think that one profession which I get into, and I get trained also, and after that I get into an experience, I feel, for that matter, a human feels that I have excelled. And how do we really measure our success? Unfortunately, we measure our success with 2-3 attributes. What position I have reached, how many people know me, how much money I have made. And very soon, I think there is a school of thoughts which is being practiced very vigorously. Unfortunately, it's in the Western world, not in the Eastern side of the world as such. They have started realizing these attributes don't take you too far as such. We all know about it, we read about it, we have seen it, and I think on a daily basis, we get to hear about it also such. So it is very important as human, we need to get back to our real human potential and try and see where we are and where we need to go as such. So I think bear with me, I'll just play 1 or 2 videos, short videos. And this is just to set the perspective.
Auto driving mode activated.
Well, it sounds like a Star Wars fiction, right? When you see at it. But maybe not 100%. Believe me, at least a very conservative 60% of it is already being tested in foreign countries. And why I'm saying this confidently is because there are two companies in US and Europe with whom I personally work. Not in the capacity of HCL Technology, let me clarify, let me put that caveat. But yes, there are very strong startups which have started working on these technologies. And it's not going to take, I think, more than 8 to 10 years for these things to come to this country also. I know, the moment we see all these things, we feel, oh, in India, pata nahi, 50 saal lag jayega aane mein. I'll just draw a parallel here. You know, we feel that we are a overpopulated, cluttered, uncultured lot. We may be, I'm not saying that, because there are pockets where we get to see these kind of challenges as such. You know, I'll give you a very simple logic. I'm sure most of us must have traveled by the Mumbai's only metro between Ghatkopar to Warsaw. Okay, as you know, this side on Western Railway, Andheri is the connection to Western Railway locals, and the other side it's the Ghatkopar. If you have traveled there, let's say if you're traveling from Virar or Borivali to Andheri, you know, crowded train, regardless of you are in first class or you are in the cattle class, it doesn't matter. You know, I don't have to tell you what is the experience. But the moment you get on to the escalator of metro, people get straightened. The same people who are crowding in the local trains and pushing and pulling and trying to nudge each other, the moment they are onto the escalator or to the, you know, the staircase of metro, they are completely civilized. Just go and watch this. I have been watching this, you know. First of all, I didn't travel by metro. I think I just started traveling 6 months back, and thanks to the metro work going on across crisscross in Bombay. I live in Mulund, which is just 14 kilometers from my office in Andheri, while I'm in Mumbai. You know, it takes 1 hour 45 to 1 hour 45 minutes to 2 hours to travel this 14 kilometers. So that's the reason I said, doesn't matter. Let me cut this out. I started traveling by metro and local train. I save time. Forget about the comfort. 1 hour, 55 minutes comfort, 1 hour comfort compared to the pains which you're going through, and little bit of environmental consciousness also, you know, burning diesel, a big SUV going with 1 or 2 person in the car and burning, it's criminal actually. So the point which I'm trying to drive here is, we Indians also tend to change very fast. There's no doubt about it. But I know, when we look around, we say that, hum nahi badlenge, hum nahi sudhrenge. That's not the case. I think this is a classic case which I gave. Now the conflict is, between the humanity and technologies. How soon can we adopt the technology? And is it meant for us? You don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. We have to adopt. How many of us really believed, AI has been talked about for last 2 decades? Gartner has the IT symposium where the best of the brains come from world over as such, It's a big, big show. I would say that it's the Academy Award show for IT world as such, They have been talking about it for more than 15, 20 years. AI is going to come, AI. Nobody was taking it seriously, but suddenly it has come and hit us as such. You see virtually AI into everything today, but we don't know. I think there was a very right question, which very rightly JP handled that question also as such. Job losses. How are you going to really take care of these job losses? How are you going to overcome this stress, which everybody, not necessarily IT, I think, I still remember when I started my careers maybe 30 years back, what State Bank was, and today what State Bank is. I don't know if any bankers are sitting out here as such, We used to say, and those eras I remember, the branch manager used to work hard beyond the working hour of 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. and he used to himself pull the shutter and lock and go. Because the sub-staff will not stay back. They will go sharp at 5 o'clock. But the culture has changed. So the point is, situation will force us to change. Now, fine, change is good as they keep saying as such. How do we cope up with that as such? So that's where I think we now move on to the next part. As they say, technology boon or bane. Now we'll come to know how is it boon or why is it bane actually. Old ancient Chinese saying, may you live in the interesting time. I don't think so there could be a better interesting time than what we all are living as such. But then just read what it is given below. It's always interesting to be in this time, but then it takes its own toll. Because as we know that, kuch पाना है तो कुछ खोना पड़ता है. But unfortunately, जो हम खो रहे हैं, it is much more than what we are getting it as such. That's where the whole challenge is. So how do we really get semblance? How do we get balance in our life? Everybody talks about it. We keep reading about it. Stress. We should manage our stress. And very one common thing which I think most of the managers keep telling their team member is that you should learn to balance your official and personal life. Oh, really? Because, of course, I am also a manager and I know. So, and people have started taking it really, really in a wrong sense, actually, if you look at it. So, how do we get out of it? Now, again, going by these slides, don't get really stressed out. We are already stressed out. But this is a fact. This is a research fact. This is not something I pulled out from my mind or from my what they call it as reading as such. This is completely something which has been researched. Just 25 negative effects of technological advancement. And this is not just for we IT guys, let me tell you. We keep taking pride in saying that we are 24/7. You call my mobile at 3 o'clock in the morning also, I'll pick up. All that is fine, but this is the price which we are paying for it as such. Are we ready for this? Do you think that whatever running we are doing, the so-called 24/7 we are doing, so-called job which we are trying to manage, at the end of the day, what are we going to achieve out of it? Month-end salaries, probably some investments, but what about our health? As we all have been hearing about it, if you may have the best of the position, best of the money as such, but if you don't have health, you're not going to enjoy that. So that's where I think spirituality comes into the picture. Now, the moment spirituality is talked about, or seeing at the slide, I'm sure there are quite a lot of people will say, oh, this is not meant for me. I'm a professional. Absolutely fine. And I don't go to temple, I don't go to churches, I don't go to the mosque. So let me correct that perception out here. Spiritualism is nothing to do with churches, temple, mosque. Spiritualism, now I think we can't help it as we know that English language is a very poor language as far as vocabulary goes. If I were to talk to you in maybe a Tamil or a Kannada or Marathi, I would have been able to explain you better because we know our languages are very rich. Though we don't have a choice, Angrez deke gaye hue, we are carrying it, and I think in the morning we heard about it also. The reason why we are able to still keep a little pace with our Chinese folks is because of English. And who would understand better than me, who has spent good amount of time in US, good amount of time in continental Europe and UK. Thanks to HCL, I was deputed to a whole lot of subsidiaries out there and spent good amount of time. So I'm a guy who understands both sides of the world. What's happening in our country and what's happening there as such. So from that perspective, if you look at it, spiritualism has nothing to do with religion. Spiritualism has got nothing to do with what they call it as, your belief. Spiritualism is there in every individual. It's there in every individual when you're born. Unfortunately, it's in the dormant state. And as long as you don't awaken it, you are not going to enjoy it. You're not going to get the benefit out of it. Now, don't really get into the spiritual meaning of it. Spirit, of course, we all know that spiritualism, the word has emanated from the word spirit. Now, again, as I said, in English, spirit has many other connotations as such. But we are talking here about soul, spirit, our own being. And ultimately, we are talking about the consciousness. And here we are talking about human consciousness. We all are very, very conscious about our consciousness. But the only problem is our consciousness only teaches us from the upbringing, from the school and the college and the profession which we pursue, and the experience which we have, what you have to do, what he or she has to pursue, what he or she has to achieve. Nobody teaches you or teaches us in our upbringing also about the spiritualism. How do you really awaken the dormant spiritual state which is there in every human being, and how do you nurture it? And how do you get it to a level what we have? So I have tried to draw a pyramid out here, and I'll not spend too much of time on this slide, of course, but as you can see, it starts from compassion. We humans are supposed to be compassionate. Rightly put it in Sanskrit, daya, karuna. Humans are meant to be compassionate. We try to be compassionate. One good example. You are standing on a street. Suddenly you see a guy meets with an accident. Your heart goes out. He's not related to you. You don't know him also. Who is he or where he comes from, or does he belong to your city, or does he belong to your native place? But something inside you for that particular moment of time says that, oh, let me go and help him. Or let me, even if you are worried about the so-called Lego issues, which generally people are worried about, but at least the inside, your inside self tells me, can I help this person? Oh, he's in trouble, he's in distress, or she is in distress. This is what is compassion. I think it's there in everyone. Again, we need to just sharpen the compassion. The reason I'm stressing on this compassion is because the moment your compassion power gets strengthened, it gets sharpened, complete perspective that the life changes. And now compassion is nothing just about spiritualism. Compassion with your family, with your spouse, with your kids, but they are our own, so naturally compassion would be there. Compassion to your neighborhood. Compassion for we IT guys and especially the program managers. We deal with tens and hundreds of people, customers. Let's bring our compassion and try and see what kind of change it brings in when we bring our compassion out and we try to do everything in compassionate manner. And friends, let me tell you, this is not something I'm trying to preach you by textbook or by just spiritual books. This I have been practicing for more than 20 years. And some of my colleagues are sitting out here. You can cross-check with them also. This has to be practiced. Then only you'll realize the importance of this if you look at it. Second very important quality of human being is humility. As I said just few minutes back, position, money, status is something which matters a lot in today's world. Not just, I think, in our country, world over. I am the CEO of so-and-so. I am the president of so-and-so. And every time when you try to describe yourself, that I part straight away comes into your picture. And you try to relate that I with everything. And unfortunately, the upbringing, regardless of which geography we are in, the upbringing is as such, the I part comes into picture. Now, I'll just try to relate it with the neonatal child's case. When a child is born, and till the time child is 1 year, 1.5 years, I know many of us must have tried to put our hands or fingers on the fontanel bone area of the child. How many of you felt the vibration on that area, which is in Sanskrit called as spandan? If you have not done it, just try and do it if you have a small child at home or you come across a small neonate case. It is basically the power, the dormant power which is there in us in sleeping form. It's the living form, it's the awakened form of spiritual power or whatever power you call it, cosmic energy or whatever it's called. It's right at the fontanel bone area of a child. That's the reason we say that children are innate. Children are innocent. The moment child becomes 2 years or 3 years old and starts growing up, the I-ness in the child comes in. My toy, my parents, my house, my place. The moment this myness, the I-ness, or in rightly said word, ego, starts growing up in that child, the power which is there, which has been, I think, there with the child in the initial stage, that goes into the dormant state. And then, of course, I don't have to talk about it. As we progress, the myness and the I-ness takes over the entire personality, and that's where I think we do that. Another third important thing is gratitude. How many of us thank every day morning or every day night before we go to sleep to whosoever the Almighty, to the vegetable kingdom, to the animal kingdom, and to the mineral kingdom, which is there, because of which we have been sustaining. We take it for granted, right? We have money, we buy, we consume. But are we paying gratitude for what we get? I don't think so, because we don't have the time. And it is deemed that, yes, I have money, I have the economic power, I can buy whatever I want. But just imagine all this money, if tomorrow the vegetable kingdom stop growing, you stop getting vegetables and fruits for whatever reason, do you think your money is going to get you this? It will not. So let's not forget, we are in an ecology where we are tightly bound by the rules of law. So that's the reason, friends, it's very important for us to pay gratitudes for everything what we get in life. Let's not worry about he's got more, she's got more, I got less, I got more. For everything and anything which I get in life, I need to pay gratitude. The moment this attitude comes into us of paying gratitude, you will see the change in your life. Your life becomes very rich. Your life it is not just about economy, money or something. Your life becomes spiritually very rich. And after that, you don't have to yearn for anything. You don't have to, run after anything. Things will start flowing in. Things will start coming to you as such, because you have understood the ecology, you have understood the natural law, and that's where you have started following it as such. Obviously, the other parts, tranquility, peace, good health, these are all byproducts of once you awaken your dormant state and once you start following I think we heard a little bit about that also, the karma. What you sow, that you reap. It's a fundamental thing actually, let's not forget that. Whatever, and it is not just, I'm not getting into details of it, it is not about something in last 10 years or in something of last 40 years or 45 years of my life. Because we don't know what all we have done in the past or whatever has happened. We only recollect this life. And we say that I have not done anything bad for anyone. Why am I then facing all this part as such, But karma, as I think we heard a lot about Mahabharata also, so just taking a cue from there, as they say, karma has not even spared Lord Shiva as well as Lord Krishna. They also had to go through it, and same is the case with Lord Rama also. They had to pay for their karmas. Similarly, we are mere humans. We also have to pay for our karma, and that karma could be very minuscule, very small, or it could be a bigger karma. As we say that there are good karmas, there are bad karmas also. So, for once, I think we should stop complaining and grumbling that why is it happening to me? ये मेरे साथ ही क्यों होता है? Why is it happening to me, my family? You can't blame anyone for that. It has happened because of our karma in the past. Knowingly or unknowingly, we have gone through it and we pay for it. So the better it is, while you are paying your karma, be positive. Whatever attributes we talked about it, continue practicing that. I am sure we get the strength, we get the inner strength to overcome this. And we will be in a much different state if you look at it. Now, when we are talking about spiritualism, there is something I'm sure many of you all must have heard about this, minimalism. Trying to use as little as possible in everything in your life. Now, how much do you need as a human being? as they very colloquially in Hindi they say that दो वक्त की रोटी मिल जाए, एक छत मिल जाए तो मेरा गुजारा हो जाता है. That's a normal way of putting it across, okay? But when we look at ourselves, is that a fact? No. As they say that, in economy they say that human wants are never satiable. Today, maybe I have a sedan car, I would look out for a SUV. Today, if I have a 2 BHK, I will always aspire for a 3 BHK. Today, if I'm in a suburb, I will always think about if I have a house in downtown or a midtown, I think that would be better. Today, I have an X, I would always think about having a 2X or a 3X. That's why it has been proved human wants are never satiable. So how do we put an end to this? Because ultimately, this is all leading to consumerism, right? Now, I think we just heard about it. Our brethren in the North America lead the pack. Such a minuscule, small population, but they consume 60% of the resources of the world. May it be oil, may it be the eatables, may it be anything as such, minerals. Why? Because consumerism, they have crossed to the limits. Thankfully, we are from India. We are from the frugal background. We have been taught that way in our upbringing, but unfortunately, we tend to move towards West. There's nothing wrong in moving towards West, but let's not forget, friends, minimalism is very important in life. Once you get spiritual, once the spiritualism sets into you, you will automatically start practicing minimalism. And everything which you do on a daily basis, you can practice minimalism. How many of us know that when we eat our normal meal, we are supposed to eat only 80 to 85% of the food which our abdomen can take? But no, if the food is on the platter, if it's a complimentary food, we say that let me have a little more because tomorrow I may not be eating this. It's a normal tendency, human tendency, nothing wrong about it. But let's not forget that 20% of extra food which we try to consume, that could serve somebody who doesn't have one course meal per day also. Now the question will come, okay, I am just leaving that 20% here, but how will the hungry guy out there will get it? Doesn't matter. If your intent is to leave that 20% with the right intention, that 20% will find its way and get into that person's abdomen or stomach. Have that thought in mind. Always, many a times, I'm sure many of you would have heard about it, Decades back, when you used to talk about toothpaste, people used to talk about Colgate, So, most of us must be knowing, the guy who decided to remove the burr of the tube was awarded as an excellence award by the marketing team in Colgate-Palmolive. I'm talking about 45 years back. Because that increased their sale by 40%. How many of you have learned that every day morning, first thing which you do is take your toothbrush and you put your paste. We have been taught to put the paste whole length. A pea size of paste is enough to clean your entire set of teeth. So, examples, friend. Sit back and see. There are tens and millions of examples like this where you can get into the practice of minimalism. And don't bother about, if I do this, how is it going to save the world? That's not something for us, you and I, to worry as such. Have the intention, start practicing. I'm sure over a period of time, it's going to change. Sense of conservation, of course, we talked about. Habit of giving. Very important. Not many times we feel like giving, right? And giving is not just money. That's another misnomer which we all live around with. Oh, I have money, I'll give to the charity. One is I may get 80G or 80GG or whatever it is there. And second is I feel good, I have given donation. Fine, there is, you incur some good karma, but that percentage would not be as high as, what we are thinking about it as such. Giving is everything possible. Monetary, service, most importantly, time. How much time are we able to give? So I will just try and skip this. So I think next 2-3 minutes before I wind up, I don't have to talk about cloud and all. We have so much of adaptation happening on cloud, technology. I think I just put this slide to understand, yes, everybody's talking about newer technology and all. But let's go back to this cloud, which is called as ether, or just for the convenience purpose, I put as the heaven. You can call it anything which you want. Don't go by the name which is mentioned. This cloud has been there, I don't know. Nobody can say also how many thousands years ago this cloud came into existence, or we all came through that as such, So let's go back to this cloud and try to get all those attributes which are there. This is a simple beginning. Now, necessarily we don't have to be a God-loving guys. Now people must be thinking, oh, prayer is not meant for me. Okay, gratitude is meant for us. Okay, you don't want to pray, doesn't matter. I don't want to go to an ex-temple or a church, doesn't matter. This is also equally meant for atheists also. Pray for yourself. Pray for your consciousness and see the change. You don't have to go to a church or you don't have to go to a temple to just pray. If you're going well and good, nothing stops it. So that's the reason, the first thing which we heard, we have written here as such prayer, pray to the power which we have our belief system in as such. Don't force yourself that he or she has told, my mom has told, my father has told, they have been going to temple for 60 years, so I should also go. Try and find out what is that which gives you solace, which gives you that soothing feeling. Pray to that power. It could be anything as simple as pray to the physical system, pray to the dynamical systems which are there, because you don't know. As people say, is there God? I'm not getting into that discussions. But if you ask a qualified surgeon also, or maybe cardiothoracic surgeon also, if you ask him, does God exist, or is there a power? So, and if you ask him how does our body work, how does the heart knows that it has to pump so many times in a minute or something, he has a simple answer which he has been taught in medical school. We have an autonomous nervous system, right? What is this autonomous nervous system? It's auto. Auto is the prayer which we have. The auto is the belief which we have in this. So friends, thank you very much, and I only urge you all, whatever we have read today, whatever we have heard today, whatever we have seen, practice 3 or 4 things out of it. Gratitudes, giving, and trying to be minimalist. These 2-3 things if you do in life, I'm sure within few weeks or few months you will see the change. You don't have to come and produce your certificate to anyone that I have been doing this. You feel it for yourself. If you want to write it down somewhere, write it down, revisit it once you start practicing this. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ajit Nayak, for bringing us back to the basics, which we often forget. May I please request Swati Damle, our VP IT at PMI Mumbai chapter, to provide share a token of our appreciation with Mr. Ajit Nayak.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, sorry. So before we bring up our next speaker, do you all want to maybe answer a few questions and win a few awards? Okay, I hear 1 or 2 yeses. All right, I'll still go ahead with it. Okay, so Morgan Walker of DuPont and James Kelly Jr. of Remington Rand developed the CPM in the late 1950s. For what? Yeah, okay. A little more detail, please. No, what was the purpose? Why did they feel the need to create, to come up with CPM? What did they want to use it for? Very specifically to their problem, they were from DuPont. So they had just to give you a clue, they had some issue at DuPont where they were looking to resolve. No. Yes, sir. A little more specific. Almost there. to understand the impact of something in their plant? A little more specific. We understand what CPM is used for traditionally, but the idea is what exactly was the problem that they were trying to resolve using CPM? Yes, please, at the back.
To avoid the cost of inefficient scheduling, basically. Due to plant shutdowns.
Actually, I didn't even know the answer.
So if he gives a wrong answer, he gets a punishment.
While constructing WDC towers.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I guess no one gets this. The very specific answer that we were looking for was to understand the impact of shutdown time for maintenance of DuPont's chemical plants. Don't blame me. There's someone right at the back who's put up these questions, so blame him. Yes. Oh, did he? Okay, then it's yours. Could I have your name, please? Could we make a note of the name, please? Okay. Critical chain was discussed in which book? Yeah, who said that first? No, not allowed. It was a chorus question, but we have only one prize. We can't really split it. Who said it first? Okay, please, could you stand up? Could you repeat the answer?
The goal.
Perfect. So to elaborate, Eli Goldratt's 1984 book, The Goal, Critical Chain, was mooted for the first time in 1997. Eli Goldratt's. Oh, his name, sorry.
Srinivas Rao.
Perfect. All right, one more. Is everyone awake yet? I have instructions to carry on until everyone wakes up. Okay, one more. RMS Titanic was a case of poor risk analysis. Why? Okay, there is a clue that Jacob has put in this quiz. It's connected to the Hooke's law.
Ah, that one.
Hands up, hands up. Who wants to answer, please raise your hands.
The number of lifeboats were, and there was less than the number of people who were there on board from a capacity point.
Okay, well, not really the answer we're looking for, but yes, I
Something to do with the
can.
annealing of the steel that is used. So it broke when it hit the iceberg.
Yes, to some extent, yes,
That's
but
still
not
Hooke's
really
law, no?
precise.
I'm guessing because Hooke's law is basically a relationship between stress and strain. So
What do you think, Jacob? Can we give that to him? Yes? All right. Can we have your name, please?
my name is Vijay Krishnan. Hi.
I'm sorry?
Vijay Krishnan.
Vijay Krishnan. Okay, so I think that's enough excitement for now, or should I continue? Okay, one more, the last one. The Apollo program wound up in 1972. Who was the last man to land on the moon? Everyone remembers the first. Who was the last man to land on the moon?
Put up your hands if anybody knows. It wasn't me.
Thanks for clarifying that, Oscar.
Yugini Sarnan.
Who said that? Yeah, perfect.
Your name?
Could you stand up, please? And your name?
Anukriti.
Anukriti. That's great. A round of applause, please, for everyone.